Yeah,
Welcome
I
to
think
the
the Lions fans and the Steelers fans have been the worst. Well, that's not just the Eagles fans specifically.
Hey,
it's a
get this
culture.
one.
What's up, everybody? Whoa. Forgot to mute the TV. What's up, everybody? Hope you're all having a nice... I'm a little loud. Testing. Now I'm good. Hope you're all having a nice Monday. Hope you all had a good weekend. I had a good Saturday and then a good Sunday afternoon. But it finished off with an L on the Seahawks last night. And I also had Noah Fant to score a touchdown. So I lost a decent amount of coin there on that last game. So the video I uploaded last night, I was like, yeah, guys, this is a cool Sunday. That was recorded before the Seahawks. I would have done that with a little bit less enthusiasm had I recorded that after the Seahawks game. But yeah, so we got 6 NBA games, 2 NFL games to go through. Guys, let's get started. I have 2 bets in the NBA, and I really am considering a third, but part of me is like, I shouldn't. But anyway, let's start off with this one, and I did place a bet in this game. I have the under. 217 is where I got it. I think you can still get that. This total's been being bet up. It was out to like 213, I think, at open. It's up to 216, and they have 217 now. I would imagine that's because, A, LaMelo Ball may be returning. He's listed as questionable. Does anyone have an update? Is he definitely returning? LaMelo
Still
Ball.
questionable. Yeah, still questionable.
Yeah, so
yep.
I think the total was being bet up, A, because LaMelo Ball may be returning. B, no Joel Embiid. I guess people assume that means Philadelphia will play with a bit more pace. And I mean, that does make sense, but the truth is Philadelphia's been a slow-paced basketball team this whole year, even without Joel Embiid. They haven't had Embiid in many games this year. I mean, this team's still 29th in pace, 28th in pace in the last 10 games. And the Hornets, yes, they play a bit faster with LaMelo Ball. They're 30th in pace in the last 10 games, but they're 25th on the season. So it's not like they're ultra light speed. It's not like they're a super fast team with LaMelo Ball out there. They've been pretty consistently slow paced. So we have 2 slow paced basketball teams, 2 offenses I don't trust. Also, Hornets, one thing the Hornets have been great at defensively is limiting their opponents' opportunities in fast break. They're 3rd in transition frequency on the defensive side. Philadelphia doesn't run the fast break very, very often. So you got a team that doesn't run the fast break often against a team that doesn't let their opponents run the fast break. Philadelphia is not going to be out and running very often in this game. I think I got a good number here at 217, so I'm on the under in this one. And I'm cool whether LaMelo Ball plays or not, by the way, with this. Guys? Whoever can go first, I don't care.
Yeah, Linda, you stay second. Yeah, you stay second. I always like going last.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll kind of remember that going forward for sure. I just try to be respectful, before I'm disrespectful all the time.
I appreciate
so
it.
Here we are. Charlotte, I got a bad number on this, so I always talk about, hey, I got closing line value. I'm very, very happy. I have Charlotte plus 2.5, and now it's at 3.5, so I definitely like that. Plus 3.5. I'm a little bit worried. So let's talk the scheduling here. The NBA, first off, sucks at doing it. So there's that. But Thursday, Friday, Charlotte plays a back-to-back. I think that makes me a little bit more nervous about what happens with LaMelo today. And I think that that's the reason that this went up a point, is that there's some uncertainty. I think he probably is only looking, considering it's a lower body injury, left calf strain, I think you're looking at him only playing one of those back-to-backs, or potentially they just put him in bubble wrap for the next 3 days again, continue to practice, continue to work him up, and then you just unleash him and play regular minutes, and you see him on the back-to-back. I'm not sure what to make of it. I just know that I hate it. 13 games on Thursday, 3 on Friday, and Charlotte has to be a piece of both of them. That's a little bit annoying. So I get why this total, I'm assuming that's the reason that the total has moved, the reason that the spread has moved. But I like the Charlotte side of things purely because you take Joel Embiid off the floor, and this is just a team that has no bench whatsoever now, too. I mean, it can't be understated how good McCain was right out of the gate. And with him out for the foreseeable next 3 months now, it's a big deal.
Is it that long?
Oh, yeah. He's going to be out for at least 3 months.
I didn't know it was
let me
that
see
serious.
The exact wording on the report. Left lateral meniscus tear out until end of February is what I've got for his estimated return date. So it's going to be 3 months till you see Jared McCain. If you went out to go get those Rookie of the Year tickets, Well, you probably shouldn't have done it knowing Joel Embiid was going to play eventually, but also now you're just drawing completely stone dead to it because he needs to, actually be on the floor. But LaMelo Ball, it's obviously a massive Q tag. If he ends up playing, you're going to see this close back at my original number. You're going to see it probably 4.5 in the event that he doesn't play. So it's a weird one, but I do think the Charlotte side is a little bit undervalued with this current state of Philly.
Chris?
Yeah, I kind of agree with both of you guys. I really wanted to get on Charlotte. I didn't because I wanted to see what happened with LaMelo to the point that was just made. And then your point, Kyle, like as far as like the under, I agree with that as well. But team total under for Philly kind of aligns with what both of you guys are saying. I'm not trusting Philly's offense. Like, pretty sure you looked through this. Both of you guys, Lindy, I'm pretty sure you looked at this as well. I know Kyle goes back and looks through game log. The Philadelphia 76ers don't have a offensive efficiency rating above 106 in their last 3 games. like I know Charlotte defensively, Charlotte defensively has not been really good, but back at home, we expect them to play with a little bit of sense of urgency, which they can do in this spot. So I think regardless, no matter what, Philly does in this spot, Philly does in this spot, I think Charlotte plays defense. To put some numbers to that, 76ers just lost to the Pacers, 107-121, stayed under. Against the Bulls, they scored 108 points. I was on their team total on that lovely Sunday. 108 points to the Bulls. And that was a game that Joel Embiid played in, I think, as well. The Magic 102, and then against the Hornets, they scored 110 the last time that these two teams played, and that was a game with Jared McCain. He had 17 points in that game. I think 4 assists, 3 for 4 from the 3-point line. So yeah, I like the team total under here. I don't think Philly gets to 110. With Cal, you mentioned it as well. Slow pace. Also, Charlotte being able to dominate on the offensive glass. I think in this spot, Bona is out and Embiid is out, so they just have Andre Drummond, who's not the greatest defender, to Lenny's point about taking the points here as well. So yeah, I think Charlotte, stops Philly in transition, like you said, Kyle, and I don't see them getting to 110. So I'll go under 109.5.
Yeah, it's weird. We all have different bets, but we're all kind of circling the same thought process here.
Mm-hmm.
Although I do think Charlotte may struggle to score also. So my under is really on both teams. But I'm in agreement at the Philadelphia. They can rip some turnovers, but the thing is they don't get out in transition. So even if they rip some turnovers, they might just set up the half-court offense anyway in those instances. Let's move on to the next game, and I have a bet on this game as well. S-Dot, don't you dare let me down here. I laid it with the Heat. I laid the 4.5. 1 second, let me get the poll up. Prop Beaver isn't in here today, so it's just me. Heat, Pistons, totals at 219.5. Let me get my spreadsheet up.
Not liking the alignment here, Cal, at all. This is either going to be a really good day for us or a really bad day.
Wait, you're on the Heat too?
I like the Heat a lot. I haven't bet it yet, but I really like the Heat a lot. I started my morning off by saying this is my favorite bet of the day. And I still haven't bet it.
I think that under we just said might be my favorite basketball bet of the day. But there's also one I'm circling later. I kind of want to get your guys' thought. We'll get to that. But anyway, so Miami's been playing some good offense recently. In the last 10 games, 12th in offensive rating. We know the Heat can play defense. That's not breaking news. They're always playing defense. But on the offensive side of the ball, they're protected the basketball. And where's the one thing I found right here? So we got 10th in pick and roll frequency. Pistons bottom 10 defense against that. Miami's been getting out in the fast break. Pistons actually decent transition defense though. Where is it? Boom. Miami's been shooting really efficiently from outside. On this season, they're 6th and above the break 3 efficiency, 7th in the last 10 games, 4th in the last 5 games. Very efficient shooting the outside shot. Detroit, one of the worst perimeter defenses in existence out there. In fact, on the season, they're literally 30th. Should be plenty of looks outside here from the Heat. Also, like I said, they've been pushing the pace. I was actually circling either the Heat minus 4.5 or Heat team total over, which I believe is at 111.5, if I'm not mistaken. So I like the Heat to score here. If you're on the over or the Pistons, or if you're on the over, I get it. If you think the Pistons can keep up, but I went with Miami minus 4.5 here. S-Dot, I'm with you on this one.
Alrighty, Cade Cunningham over 9.5 assists. This is the direction I'm going with it. You want to look at pace. Yes, Miami is slow, 97.5 possessions per 48 minutes. But the other thing that I like to take a look at from time to time is, you get in these spots where the props drop relative to where they've been set at for previous games. You're getting plus money. Plus 105 is where I got this 9.5 assists on FanDuel. Opponent assist rate against Miami, 66.2%. So over almost 2/3 of their field goals are being assisted against their defense. That's 24th in the NBA. So that's on the back half of it. Cade Cunningham, he is doing everything. Now, the assist rate does take a 2% dock with Tobias Harris off the floor this season. So he goes from 37% to around 35%. But under a neutral game script, they've played some interesting matchups here of late where, he gets extended to 35 minutes here against Boston, New York, Boston. But we're talking 3 consecutive road games here, pretty brutal matchups, spotty schedule. And now Detroit, only game that they'll play here again until Thursday. Cade Cunningham should be able to see 36, 38 minutes in a competitive spot. Now, both of you don't want this one as competitive, but can we just keep it to like around 8, 9, 10 points here in that fourth quarter? I'll be just fine with that. Cade Cunningham looks really good considering you're getting plus money on something that I'm basically looking at as a coin flip, 51-49. So 51% expected win percentage for me. Cade Cunningham over 9.5. Nice bet there.
Cade Cunningham over 9.5 assists. Someone said they're betting Cade triple-double in the comments too. Gambling
plus 750 if you have Bet Rivers, if you're not limited there. I looked at it earlier because his rebound rate should go up a little bit with Tobias Harris off the floor. I'd like to see Fontecchio in that starting unit instead of Asar Thompson. I might try to like snipe something there. I think plus 600 was like the best I had access to on something where I could actually get any volume down, but it's pretty thin at the moment. But I guarantee you, I mean, obviously I'm talking about it right now. Like I've been staring at that all day.
Cade Cunningham over 9.5 assists. Let's move on to the next one, which is Chicago-Toronto. My thoughts in this one are pretty simple. There should be 275 points scored in this game. Like, I don't think 240 is high enough. I didn't bet it or anything, but 240.5, I know that seems like a crazy total. In my opinion, it's completely warranted. Both these teams run a super fast pace. Both these teams get out in transition often. Both these teams are ass defensively against the fast break. I mean, I know that the Raptors don't particularly have a good offense, but in the way this game should go, both these teams sprinting up and down the court the entire game. It's not like the Bulls are going to be playing any defense in transition. The Raptors, as long as they're somewhat awake, should get easy buckets. I mean, I think this one goes over. Like I said, I didn't bet it. But I'll just put up on the screen over 240.5 for me because that's the way I would go with it.
This is the only game I don't have a bet on. So I didn't end up on anything here. We're waiting on Zach LaVine still. That's such a big Q tag. If he ends up out, I wouldn't want to be on that over. I am going to be leaning towards the over as well. I had it last night at 238.5 as a lean for me. It's now going up 2 points. It's pretty efficient as is. If Zach LaVine ends up out, I mean, the offensive efficiency, I mean, if you get Taylor Horton Tucker out there, I mean, he can't guard you or me or anybody. So at least there's that. Shout out Iowa State. I'm just staying away from this game, I think, entirely.
All right, Chris?
Not a game that I want to play either. I just don't like this game at all. When I look at Chicago, like I'm thinking like, all right, cool. Like they haven't been playing. Well, I know you talked about their defense being bad, Kyle. Chicago last 5 games are the 6th best defensive rated team in the NBA. I know Ski was on Friday with us, and he talked about like in the over because they was playing against Charlotte. That was the game where the NBA league most 75 threes missed. It was like a record that was broke between them and Charlotte the other day with most threes being missed in the game. And Toronto without Scotty Barnes, I know that they can score the ball like you said, but I don't know, man. So Chicago's defense, Kyle, is not as bad as you make it seem to be, specifically in transition. They're 6th in opponent points per 100 possessions in transition. 12th in their 4th in opponent transition frequency. Like they have been playing a little bit better defensively. Chicago has. Don't look now, and I'm not going to be on the one on the under, and then 300 points to score. But I will give them a little bit of credit. I think that they could particularly be the right side. But Lenny, as you said, no LaVine, no way I'm betting it. Even with them, I'd be scared. But I'm just staying off of this one altogether.
So it looks like we're all staying off this one. People in the comments are liking Toronto, though. There's a few people commented saying the Raptors. D. Williams said Raptors. Oh, never mind. Drewski has Bulls. So actually split in the comments. The poll was 41%, 37% in favor of the Bulls. So pretty split in this one.
Did you have a thought process, Kyle, on the a lean at all on the side? No.
Nah.
Same.
Next one, I wanted to bet the Nets, but trying to figure out this Nets team is tough. You look at the game logs, and it's like, okay, they're running a fast pace. No, never mind, they're running a slow pace now. Okay, they can play some defense. Oh, never mind, they're the worst defensive team. And they're everywhere. Their data points are everywhere for this Nets team, and without Cam Thomas, it's really tough to put your finger on what this team is. So, I mean, I would like to take a plus 10.5, but no, I'm good. I feel like we're, 2 months and change into the season, and I feel like I still have no idea what this Nets team even is. So, I'm good.
And they just keep changing too, Kyle, because now it's no Schroeder. But go ahead, Lynn.
That was what I was going to bring up is Dennis Schroeder defensively. I'm assuming we get Ben Simmons starting. I don't think that really changes his minutes in a gigantic way. I'm not sure what you think, Chris, but right now I've got the starting line of Ben Simmons, Keon Johnson, Dorian Finney-Smith, Cam Johnson, Nicholas Claxton, which, looks okay to some extent, but it just matters like how many minutes can you actually get out of Ben Simmons. And now off the bench, you're bringing Shake Milton into play. You're still waiting for, Cam Thomas or any semblance of offense to show up here. I'm on the Cleveland side, so you can get 9.5 here at the moment. So I'm opposite of you, Sauce, but
no, I'm not even putting it up. I'm
okay, this game. Gotcha. Good for you. Good for you. The other one, I wanted to ask Chris this. Ben Simmons, if he's going to be getting Keon Johnson from, either side of this one, should we be looking at Donovan Mitchell or should we be looking at Darius Garland? Because this feels like one of those just eruption potential spots for Donovan Mitchell. Do you know his points prop today? Because it's the lowest that I can remember seeing in a very, very long time.
Nah, what is it?
23.5.
That makes no sense at all.
I just keep staring at it, and it's bright green on my sheet, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do about it, or if I should be laddering this, or if I should look at some alt numbers on it. But if this game stays somewhat competitive, it's not like I'm hedging out of it because obviously I do think Cleveland rolls in this one. But if you get semi-normal minutes here, and considering they won't play again till Thursday either, you can give guys extended run in these type of spots. The problem is that they have so many guys off the bench in Cleveland, where if it's 15 points, 16 points there in the fourth quarter, you still have Sam Merrill off the bench. You still have, Craig Porter Jr. is questionable, I suppose, for this one. But Ty Jerome, Karis LeVert are the two obvious ones. It's just there's so many dudes who can get it done against a second unit Brooklyn team that will be having to utilize Shake Milton, whether they want to or not. It's just really dire over there without Dennis Schroeder, who I think one of the more underrated two-way players in the NBA.
I switched the graphic up. Our graphic's at 10.5, but you can get 9.5. People are saying in the comments, so I switched the graphic.
Yes, you can.
Cleveland.
I again, this is yet another awesome job by Eric, getting a bad number on a game. So go me. Did it twice today in the same day after not doing it for a week. So we're so back. Thanks, NBA.
Chris.
That's how it is when you want to play the games literally not 5 minutes before. So I sympathize with you there. I know what that feels like. I kind of want to lay it here. I kind of do. I think that they are. I didn't do it, but I think that the Brooklyn Nets are trying their best to get back to their projected win total. We got to remember back to the beginning of the season. The Brooklyn Nets actually had the lowest projected win total. Their projected win total for the season was lower than the Washington Wizards. It was 18.5 to 19.5. So, trading Dennis Schroeder for, a torn ACL and DeAnthony Milton is one way to make sure that you are not going to be competitive. I think the Cavs can win the game by double digits. It's really just that simple. Cal, you mentioned the other day when we wanted to take Memphis, how bad this team was in transition defense, Brooklyn. And Cleveland also is a team that can get out and run. They're going to shoot a ton of threes in this spot. I think Brooklyn can be susceptible from the three-point line as well. I think they can kind of name their number in this game, but like I said, I didn't play it. It's a funky spot. I also lean towards the under. I don't know if you guys had thoughts on the total. Didn't play the total, but I think it's a little bit more of an under game. The first one went under. I think it reached 205 points. If Brooklyn is not making a ton of threes, which, that's been the one thing that's been super helpful for them to find some success this season, I do think that if Cleveland comes out and guards the three-point line, it could be really difficult for this team to get to 100 points. Cleveland feels like gets looked over their defense because their offense is so good, but they're still top 5 defensive rated team as well.
All right, so you guys like Cleveland. Chris also likes the under.
Yeah, I don't have a ton of thoughts about the total. It looks okay to me. I just have a tough time figuring out what that rotation is going to look like absent. I mean, you do have to still wait on Tyrese Martin. That's something that actually matters here too. mean, you could see a lot of minutes for Shake Milton, and he's been a bottom 20th percentile defender in the NBA forever. He has to play 24, 28 minutes because Ben Simmons still can't get extended. If he can't get extended run into the high 20s, you are forced into a much worse defender, should be able to push the pace a little bit. Again, just all offense. So those are the spots where I think the total, depending on what a team style is, I mean, obviously Brooklyn not exactly pushing the pace themselves, but Shake Milton would definitely help that total, just having that player on the floor more.
All right, let's move on to the next one, which is a game I'm interested in. I haven't bet it, but there is a side I like. I don't know if I'm being crazy here. I kind of want to lay the 1.5 with the Kings. I don't know. All right, hold on. Let me just get it up real quick. You have to, when I'm looking at these numbers, right, from the last 10 games, I have to take into consideration that Sacramento has played an easier schedule. But there is a couple of tough games in there. It's not like they've played nothing but cupcakes. And if you go by let's just go by the last 10 games here. Let me get this poll up. Last 10 games. Sacramento, better defensive rebounding team, better at forcing turnovers, better protecting the basketball, better at offensive rebounding. So like all those intangibles that I love, right? Forcing turnovers, protecting the ball, offensive glass, defensive glass. Sacramento's been better than Denver in all 4 of those categories in the last 10 games. Yes, they have played an easier schedule. So you have to obviously take that into consideration, especially when you're using a sample size like the last 10 games. But what has Sacramento been great at this entire year? Limiting their opponents' fast break opportunities. They're actually first in frequency on the defensive side of the ball. Denver's been running the fast break this year. In fact, Denver's been playing at a fast pace on the season. They're 5th in pace, 5th in the last 10 games. Denver's been picking up the pace. They like to get out in transition, and the Kings do not let their opponents do that. Which, at home, I don't know. I want to bet the Kings. I don't know if I'm crazy. I didn't pull the trigger because the Kings, I feel like I don't have a feel for the team. But this is where I want to be. If you guys co-sign it, I'm in.
I'm not sure. Keegan Murray questionable. That popped out of nowhere. Has me closer to
Herder's out.
Oh, no. It's Keegan Murray now is questionable as well. He popped up on the injury report with the left ankle injury. If you just type in NBA injury report, you can basically get all of
that's
like
not
every
showing
hour.
on mine.
It was about 30 minutes ago, Kyle. I think maybe 30 minutes.
Oh, it just happened.
It's new. Yeah,
just happened.
Because you know, sometimes you just like.
I wouldn't lie to you.
You know, sometimes you're just walking around and you roll your ankle, Kyle, like on game day, so you get added to the injury report, that type of thing.
So he was walking around.
Like Malik Neighbors had happened to him yesterday before he went nuclear, but I don't know if you guys saw that he stepped on his offensive lineman just walking. It was very klutzy
with no Keegan Murray, you can't get there, is what you're saying.
He's an 88th percentile defender in the NBA this season. He's been awful offensively, absolutely atrocious this season. I mean, he goes from being, a pretty decent guy from 3. I mean, he's still kind of just sitting okay going forward, but I mean, this has been his worst 3-point shooting season by an absolute country mile. 41% in his rookie year, 36% 2024. This year, sub 30%. I mean, we're talking about a huge skid here for Keegan Murray, and that's been a very big problem. But defensively, he continues to add. I mean, he kind of just made himself a defender. They said to him in the offseason after his rookie year, you have to get better on that end of the floor so we can play you in some of these clutch situations. And he really stepped up in that department. The problem is now he is basically only finishing at the rim. He has another guy in DeMar DeRozan who not exactly lets him get in a rhythm, and he's not really getting good shots off. So Keegan Murray been struggling to some extent, but those minutes are then replaced by Jay Crowder. They're replaced by, some combination of either Colby Jones or Isaac Jones. These are not guys that I like plugging into the old model and having good things happen. However, I still have this total to 37.5. One cool thing we're working on here at Odd Shopper that I've been beating the drum for a while is trying to make sure people understand the math of should I take a total that's at 236.5 at minus 115, or should I take a total that's at 237.5 minus 108? I'm on the minus 108 FanDuel side of things here right now. That 7 cents for 1 point I think is worth it in a long-term scheme. Obviously, if you're trying to win a bet, you can take the point for one less, but it's not going to pay you out what it should over any longer sample size. So we're going to be doing that and have that integrated. So it's not just identifying the best lines like most places do, but giving you the best graded bet every single day, no matter its totals, no matter spreads, having that juice and everything factored into every single play so that you can kind of make decisions for yourself. I like the 237.5 for it. As you said, Denver just playing at breakneck speed here. Jokic been the most efficient basketball player you could ever imagine in a million years. Like everything about it. Jamal Murray back in the fray, which is very, very fun as well. That should help out some of the offensive ratings. Russell Westbrook off the bench, always fun because he's not going 5 miles per hour. I like the total for sure.
We got a head-to-head here, and the only reason I know this is because I see an under graphic in here. And what Andy and Prop Beaver do is they watch these guys' shows and go and get their picks and make the graphics. So this is the first time I'm seeing them, and I have an under graphic here, which I'm assuming is yours, Chris.
Not mine. It's like, no, just kidding. It's mine.
I was going to say, there's only 3 of us.
That's great.
Didn't bet it yet, just to be fully transparent, but and don't like it as much. I mean, Lindy kind of laid it out. If Keegan Murray was in though, I would be on the under in this spot. I think you said 88th percentile defender, yep. Lindy, and
dunks and threes. Just basically looking at adjusted modeling for defensive rating. He's been very good on that end of the floor relative to expectations.
That is it. And to your point, Kyle, like if you want to lay with Sacramento, I don't think you like it as much without him out there as well. They're getting outscored by about 3.5 points per 100 possessions with Keegan Murray on the floor. With Keegan Murray off the floor. With him on the floor, they're actually a +5 in points scored per 100 possession. And a lot of it is their defense. They're giving up 112 with him on the floor, 118 without him on the floor. So to your point, Kyle, Sacramento does a really great job of stopping teams in transition. And that's what Denver wants to do. They fly up and down the floor all of a sudden. They're just new, fast-paced team. But I think Sacramento can do a good job of limiting that. Also, Denver, not a great three-point shooting team. They want to attack the rim. Sacramento's top 10 defensively against rim field goal percentage and rim field goal accuracy over the last 5 games. I think that they can you can't stop Jokic, but I think that they can slow him down. Neither one of these teams, for a total this high, neither one of these teams shoot or make a lot of threes. They're both bottom 10 over the last 5 games. I think it all kind of plays into an under. Hate it without Keegan Murray in there and probably will not be betting it. So to Lindy's point, I guess I grabbed the over, but I do think this sets up to be a nice little under spot if Keegan Murray does play and he's 100% efficient in this game.
Yep, Keegan Murray just popped up on my injury report, by the way. So do we think this line moves on account of Keegan Murray?
I think it has to. And if it doesn't, I think I got to bet Denver. I know they've been all over the place. They've been up and down, lose to the Wizards, beat the Hawks by 40. They got some crazy wins and crazy losses. Got blew out by the Knicks at home a couple days ago, but then they beat the Clippers by 120. Like, they've been all over the place. The Kings have consistently been playing defense. I think 4 of their last 5 opponents have actually gone under their team total. They're super well rested in this spot. I don't know. I think Denver could win the game without Keegan Murray though. Like, I'd be scared, Kyle, to take Sacramento without Keegan Murray here. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. It's just that the replacement value of every player coming in, whether it's Doug McDermott for a couple of minutes, Jay Crowder, I would assume, would step into a larger role. He basically plays low teens minutes as is right now. It's just one of those weird spots. Again, with this scheduling the way that it is, you got to assume I added basically 2 minutes to everybody's baseline today, just on account of how much rest teams have gotten so far. Jamal Murray's kind of a special case because I think coming off of injury or lower body injuries for a guy like LaMelo Ball, you have to keep it still pretty cautious and kind of find those bench minutes. But the more I model this game out, the more that I just like the over, especially I didn't anticipate Keegan Murray popping up out of nowhere, but I have to emphasize, 1, I think his defense is very solid this season, and 2, he's going to shoot better. So I think it was kind of like a pretty flat neutral thing as is, because his offensive rating has been brutality just on account of his own shooting.
Selman is in the comments. He's on the Nuggets as well. All right, maybe I won't play the Kings. Maybe I'll stick with the 2 bets I have. I was really considering the Kings there. I did not know the Keegan Murray news, though. Jazz, Clippers. I thought this one was in. Oh, no. I have it right. Never mind. Jazz +8. Clippers -8. Didn't look at this one at all.
My favorite game to bet.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Give me this over all day and all night, and everything he sees is just blue, like him, inside and outside. Over 222.5, minus 108 is where I ended up getting this. It's 223.5, minus 108 if you want to join again over on FanDuel.com. There is 222.5. That is over at BetMGM, but minus 115. Again, 7 cents for 1 point. Not really worth it, in my opinion, here in the NBA, but I think it's very worth it to be on this over. A couple of things that are happening. One, Kevin Porter playing more minutes off the bench here for the Clippers. And these are small, like when you're trying to beat totals and spreads, you're talking about very thin, definable margins. Like you really have to find something that you can say, I think the market is inefficient here. And you have to try to, you have to kind of stick to your guns about what certain players on the floor and certain, what lineups look like and what is really going on. So Nicholas Batum steps into the starting lineup for the Clippers. He's still playing about the same amount of minutes, but what's happening is you're getting Kevin Porter Jr. off the bench playing 24, 26 minutes. You have Norman Powell, who is shooting the ball unbelievably efficiently, and James Harden, who's out there playing decent enough ball here for these Clippers, doing what he needs to do, although the shooting has definitely wavered in recent stretches. But Utah, Jordan Clarkson, I was expecting to come back and play, and surely enough, ends up off the injury report as probable. That is such an upgrade for this total in a way that I don't think has really shown up in the marketplace yet. We're talking a point and a half just from one player specifically, which is a lot. But Jordan Clarkson, one of the worst defenders in the NBA, one of the better offensive creators for himself and others off the bench for like a 22, 24-minute type player. You have Colin Sexton. It'll limit some of his workload. Keontae George, it'll limit some of his. But you get Clarkson integrated into that with Lauri Markkanen. Yes, Walker Kessler, I project for the most minutes. He's mainly out there for his defense, but neutralized up against Vika Zubac here in this one. I just keep running iterations of this game where it lands on 227.5, 228, and that ends up being kind of like my median projection for it. So there's no way that I'm not jamming this total. It's my biggest bet of the day.
I just tailed you. I just went on. That's what I was doing while you were talking, is tailing. So I grabbed it. You could still get this exact number on BetMGM. Minus 115 is the one I just got. So, Chris?
I'm tailing too. There was enough to sell me too, Cal. I already was kind of looking towards.
Here is this ice, says the Alaskan.
It was just he opened it up with such confidence. I was like, okay, like, I'm in.
He always say cap the capper. Yeah, he sounds pretty confident as well. And I was already kind of leaning that way. You mentioned Jordan Clarkson being back. I think that definitely helps. The lack of this is what I was thinking, Lindy, when you were talking. I guess the flip of role players here. Right, because it's no Terrence Mann, right? And who's the other guy that's missing? Derrick Jones Jr. Those are more defensive type guys. So when you bring in an older Nicholas Batum that can also stretch the floor and shoot the three better than both of those guys, but can't play as good defense, and then you bring to Kevin Porter Johnson, like, oh yeah, I'm sold. I'll tell you here.
Is this your James? I have a James Harden graphic.
Yeah, I didn't bet that. That was just a lean. But Harden over his assist goes right into this play. We know that the Jazz are bottom three and opponent point guard assists to go over. Harden is coming off a couple really poor games. I think this game is played with pace, like Lindy said, especially with Jordan Clarkson being back. So I considered that. Didn't play it though. Over 8.5, especially because it wasn't even at 9.5. So I'd still do lean that, but I didn't play that one, Cal.
All right. Well, I'm in. I'm with Lindy on the over.
Thanks, guys.
Me too.
They love me. They really love me until this. Once again, 198 points incoming. Have fun, everyone.
Yeah.
God.
Love you if it wins. If it loses,
my DMs are closed for business.
Yeah, I like when what was the one where you said 2 home runs on this show? Who was
Corey
that?
Seager.
Corey Seager, and everyone's like, Lindy's the man, 2 home runs. Literally, you came on the next week and gave like a long shot. It was like, and it missed. It was like, this guy sucks. It's like, dude, he just hit like a plus 25.
Not only that, it was the one bet that didn't hit on that card, and this guy went in on me, and I couldn't believe it. I went like 6-1 or 5-1 on a regular MLB slate, and he just wanted to point out what a fraud I was. I was like, man, this is a tough industry sometimes, but you know what?
Fraud, Lindy, out here losing bets and stuff. One singular bet you lose. Wow.
This dude's trash.
It was a rushing yards, I think, was the one you're
His
talking
name
about.
is Chastity. He is white trash.
All right, let's talk some NFL. Chris?
Oh, man. Appreciate you guys.
Buddy.
Best of luck,
Bye,
man.
Chris.
Have fun tonight.
You too, bud.
All right, let's give Senor Prop Beaver on the camera here. Prop Beaver is working from home today, So he's in the comfort of his home. I actually don't have a thing set up.
I'm so mad. I don't have an anytime touchdown on the board for today. I just realized because I need to see this. I need to see this thing play now in action.
The Walrus?
Oh, the Walrus.
He's a pretty influential walrus. Well, how do I get
He's a nice guy.
How do I get the background on the text, Prop Fever, that you do?
That's your tree of life.
How do I get the background? Usually I just like copy one of the colors.
Do you have a template with me, you, and Lindy in here?
Yeah, for sure I do. It's a 3 Lindy Beaver.
3 Beaver. No, I see 3 Beaver. I don't see it, dude. 3.
Yeah, it's definitely there. I mean, me, you, and Lindy, we shoot the shit all the time.
We do.
We chop it up almost every Thursday, us fellas.
Chop like salad. Mm-hmm.
Every Monday, us fellas. Yeah.
3 Beaver, Lander, Chris, Jabo, Ski.
This feels like you're making a play call.
3 Lindy Beaver. Got it. Oh, no.
That's perfect.
Now I gotta switch you guys up. Knew it was there somewhere. So Lindy goes over here.
There I am.
Prop Beaver goes over here. All right, we're in business. So we're talking. I know the up next doesn't show the second game. That's on me. We are doing the second game as well. So the first one, you guys probably already know if you watched the video I uploaded. I am on the 2 bets I placed were Minnesota team total over, and I also placed 1 second. The other one I'll get up in a second. So I like the Vikings to score points. I also don't think it's crazy that Caleb Williams is able to make some throws as well, which is why I split my money in half and I put half on the over. So I have over 43.5 Minnesota team total over. Those are my 2 bets. God damn it, 1 second. All right, there we go. Those are my 2 bets for this game. So it's a perfect matchup for Sam Darnold. These 2 teams just played, by the way. It was outdoors in Chicago. Both quarterbacks played pretty well. Sam Darnold played very well. But Caleb Williams had himself a nice second half also. And as far as Sam Darnold against the Bears defense, I'd have to say probably wasn't an anomaly because he matches up really well against Chicago. They run a lot of cover 3, a lot of zone coverage. Sam Darnold's weirdly one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL against cover 3. This year, he's first in yards per attempt. The man gets the ball downfield against cover 3. The Bears run the more cover 3 than any team in the more cover 3 than any team in the NFL, not named the Bucks. Todd Bowles has them beat. So other than the Bucks, Bears are running nothing but cover 3. Sam Darnold, excellent numbers against cover 3. They also run a lot of single high safety looks, which is obviously congruent with cover 3. It's most of the same plays, but Sam Darnold, one of the best quarterbacks in the league against that as well. So we're looking like it's looking like a good matchup against Sam Darnold. This one's not outdoors in Chicago; it's indoors in Minnesota, so maybe even better conditions. He's played really well the last 4 games. Sam Darnold on a bit of a heater. Love the matchup for Sam Darnold, and also now that you take Dexter off of that Bears defensive line, I think the Vikings are going to be able to run the ball in this game as well. Minnesota hasn't really had a rushing attack that I've particularly trusted in 2 or 3 months now. But the Bears, defending the run's been the weakness of this defense the entire season. And now they're missing both defensive tackles. They've been missing Billings for a while. Now you throw Javon Dexter Sr. out as well. You're missing both defensive tackles. So this Bears defensive line that struggles to stay on the line of scrimmage, they get blown off the line of scrimmage. That's the problem with the Bears defensive front. Missing both tackles? I think Aaron Jones, I think the Vikings might be able to run the ball a little bit. Cam Akers, Aaron Jones, doesn't matter. I think the offensive line is going to get pushed. So I like the matchup for the Vikings across the board here. I think they can run it. I think Sam Darnold can make throws. Obviously, there's always a risk of Sam Darnold turning the ball over. He's a bit of a wild card, but as far as how the game will fly, I think he's going to have plenty of opportunities. Vikings can move the ball. On the other side, like I said, Caleb Williams has been better. He's been getting the ball out at a little bit faster. Hasn't been taking quite as many sacks. We're seeing the production improve. And the Vikings defense, I certainly don't trust it as much without Ivan Pace Jr. on the field. We've seen the production dip a little bit there. So I don't think it's crazy that the Bears are able to make this game interesting and score points. If I were to bet aside against the spread, I would probably try to find like a minus 115, minus 126.5. Not sure if those are available. I would lean towards the Vikings because if you remember, that last game between the two, I had Minnesota -3 as my top bet that day. It was bullshit that pushed. Like, we deserved that win. It was a 4-point game with like 3 minutes left, and like the final score, I think it went to overtime. It went to overtime, right? Yeah,
it did.
Yeah, it went to overtime, and I pushed the bet. We deserved to win that. The Vikings were in control of that game for 90% of it. So, yeah, I think the Vikings should win comfortably and score points. This is the way I went with it, over Vikings team total over. Which of you fine-looking gentlemen would like to go second?
Whichever.
Lindy can go.
You want me to go? I'll be very, very quick. I echo a lot of your same sentiments where I'm pretty confident in the Minnesota Vikings offense here. One thing that I am looking out for is Jalen Johnson and his utilization up against Justin Jefferson. He did a great job in that first matchup. I mean, we're talking about one of the better corners in football, and found ways of getting Owens involved there at the safety position to really help out. And Justin Jefferson had the absolute lid on him in this first outing. But I think that creates an interesting single game parlay opportunity here. I had it at 250, Sam Darnold, 250 plus passing yards. TJ Hawkinson, his usage just continuing to go up as he has been integrated into this offense more and more. And he is very good at the catching of footballs, and I think has opened up the field a lot for the likes of Jordan Addison, where you could get 50, 55 plus and attach those two to Sam Darnold. The guy's been playing at like all pro level, and like obviously the MVP is done. It's accounted for. Josh Allen, congratulations, go accept your prize. Lamar Jackson, if any fluke injury were to happen to Josh Allen, but there's just basically a 0% chance Sam Darnold can get out there and do it. But I think a lot of quarterbacks would be successful. And one of the nice things about Sam Darnold is just his ability to kind of play the matchup game. He hasn't really been honed in on Justin Jefferson the way that Kirk Cousins was in first reads over the course of his tenure there. I mean, it helps to have a Jordan Addison continuing to ascend, whether it was at Pitt, whether it was at USC. I thought he was one of the more dynamic wide receivers in the college game, and really finding ways for my Vikings to open up the field. And obviously Atlanta's secondary is just dog shit. So I don't take a whole lot into account from last week into this one, but you just look at like baseline pass rate over expectation, win percentages between 20% and 80%, not within the 2 minutes of the second quarter and fourth quarter. And every single time you model out that game, I've got him closer to 280. So Sam Darnold, my favorite of those legs, but I think single game parlay looks really nice. Staying away from Justin Jefferson, can he beat any matchup in the NFL? Absolutely, but I do have some respect for him. And the thing that keeps me away from betting the Vikings in attachment to this game is Stephon Gilmore out. I'm not sure what we have to basically make concessions for, but I think Rome Odunze probably benefits the most out of anybody with his absence there. We're talking about a rookie that's really ascended in Thomas Brown's offense as things have, gone more towards the offense. The defense kind of been left to die over there on the Chicago side of the field. But I think Rome Odunze is kind of in for a sneaky football game here. So I like his over 3.5 receptions if you're looking for anything else.
Did I type? I just want to make sure I'm putting this on the screen. Did I type this correct? It's Darnold 250 plus, Addison 50 plus, Hawkinson 50 plus.
Basically, it's depending on which book you're looking at. Obviously, you can get the adjusted lines at a place at FanDuel where it's going to be 40 or 50, but most of the baseline numbers, it's 250 plus, and then it's going to be 55 plus for Addison, 45 plus for Hawkinson. And that's just I understand people are playing multiple different books, but I really like the attachment of those two. I think both of them do a lot of it. I mean, obviously you need something out of Jefferson. I don't think he'll have the top on him like it was before, but I think both of them are undervalued in the marketplace. And I'd rather just take the entire portfolio at like 5-1 than betting them separately, because if one fails, I think there's a chance the entire portfolio fails.
And you said you also like Odunze over if someone's trying to play something on the Chicago side. Gotcha.
3.5 receptions. I think that looks like a much better bet. Stephon Gilmore not expected to be playing today.
Yes, I saw that. He practiced on Saturday, but he missed the rest of the week, so I knew there was a chance he was going to be out. There we go. Got everything. Prop Beaver, I saw a graphic in here for you as well. You have a Caleb Williams ladder?
Hello, my Pookie Bears. No, it's not a ladder. Essentially on the site last night when I was posting the play, you told me to start posting the write-ups as well. So I was doing that, and mid write-up, it goes from 32.5 to 33.5. Truly, I couldn't care less. I mean, it moved from 32.5 minus 115 to 33.5 plus 100. I think it's like pretty much same in terms of value. So I didn't mind that at all. I still like it at 33.5. So it's just one play, 33.5. It actually moved. It's now at 34.5 on 2 books. I think Bet365 and Fanatics. I would even play it at 34.5, but obviously 33.5 is the lone play. No ladder here, just 33.5. And we're talking Caleb Williams. Let's get into it. He's facing a Vikings defense that he just had 47 pass attempts in a game that went to OT. You may be thinking, well, did OT inflate those numbers? No. He only had 1 pass attempt in OT, so 46 pass attempts in regulation. That's a whopping 14 over our total here. And Williams has been notably more pass heavy on the road, despite having far less success in the actual results. So at home, he's averaging 5 less attempts per game, but his yards per attempt much higher, completion percentage over 10% more, and his passer rating 20 points more. But he's 1-6 to the over at home, 4-2 to the over on the road. You want to know who his lone over came against at home? The Minnesota Vikings. And this Vikings defense already allows the most pass attempts per game in the league at 38.4. Now they're 7-point favorites here, facing a Bears offense whose running back core is bruised, battered, and outgunned. On top of that, I don't know if anybody noticed, but that Bears defense looked absolutely horrendous in their first game without Eberflus calling the defensive plays last week. I mean, terrible. 49ers averaged 13 yards per attempt. Purdy had a 145 pass rating. Up to that point, Purdy had been awful at home this season, just he had been Thursday night against that awful Rams pass defense. Now, I think the Bears fall behind early here and ultimately lose the game as well. Williams in wins this season, he's 0-4 to the over, averages 28 pass attempts. They're taking the ball out of his hands. But in the losses, he's 5-4 to the over, averaging 36 pass attempts per game, a major difference. The lone concern I really have with this bet is the fact that maybe he takes too many sacks. I mean, what do you have, 7 sacks last week? He had 9 sacks in a game against a dogshit Patriots defense. But the one thing that I do like is the fact that the Vikings blitz at the highest rate in the league. Williams actually has a much lower sack rate when blitz. It's actually 10% lower when blitz. So if the Vikings want to bring the blitz here, that's even better for us. Let's get some pass attempts up. Let's get the Vikings points on the board here, like Kyle's saying. I like Caleb Williams pass attempts over here, whether it's 32.5, 33.5, 34.5. Let's fire that bad boy up.
Someone said they're fading the pick specifically because you called them Pookie Bear.
I think that's valid.
I think that's a fair analysis, and I'm not gonna fault him.
Your point is taken, sir. That's the best point ever given in you.
Caleb Williams is now 34.5. Someone said.
Consensus?
Look at this line mover here.
No, I ain't no line mover. No, that's consensus. That's on. Okay, so I'm actually looking at it live. So 34.5 is on FanDuel, Bet365, and Fanatics, but you can still get the 33.5 on MGM, DK, Caesars, ESPN, and Hard Rock. So make sure to line shop, my friends.
Make sure you line shop using OddShopper.
Using OddShopper.
Someone else said if they drop Caleb Williams back to pass 35 times, someone should lose their job. Someone just did.
I mean, yeah.
What else do you have to play for other than develop him, though? That's the thing. And like, what else are you doing other than trying to have him drop back and figure shit out? Like, that's what you should be doing if you're the Bears. Like,
I agree.
Also, if they're losing, what are they going to do? They have to drop him back and try to win the ball game, right? I mean, at a point.
Yeah, I think someone was just making a joke kind of.
Yeah.
Falcons, Raiders. I ended up placing a bet on this. 1 second.
As did I, and I didn't plan on it, but I think I'm with you. Kirko needs to bounce back, and tonight's the night.
Okay,
tonight's the night.
Get the poll up. So what
happened? But that you don't understand the Kirk Cousins experience. I am very versed in the Kirk Cousins
that's
experience.
Right, you're a Minnesota fan.
Not a great experience. Let me just throw that out there. Have fun betting him on doing anything positive when you expect it. It is incredible.
Here's what I am versed in: the fact that Antonio Pierce is absolute dog piss, and that I'm getting plus money to fade him. So that sounds good to me.
Wait, plus money to fade him in what way?
Let's get right into it. I guess I'll go back to back. I made an SGP here. It's not in the graphics. I just made this last minute actually before we went on. Cousins 2+ pass TDs and Atlanta Falcons money line plus 124. Do I think that's positive EV or anything in terms of a great value? No, but I like it quite a bit. So we're getting into it. Falcons have lost 4 straight.
I'm sorry, what's the odds?
Plus 124. Falcons, they've lost 4 straight. Cousins has managed a whopping 0 combined pass TDs during that span, but I think the positive regression stick's going to smack him square in the face here, as the Raiders' pass defense is a downright atrocity. They've allowed the last 5 or 6 QBs they faced over the mark, averaging nearly 3 whole TDs per game. And we know that Cousins is a guy he's a bad defense merchant, quite frankly. I mean, if you look at the splits this season, every time he faces a bad defense, he rocks. But when he faces these good pass defense, he has been utter piss. And now look at the last 4 starts he's faced. Saints, Chargers, Broncos, Vikings. All 4 of those defenses, top 10 in both EPA per dropback and success rate per dropback. Now he finally gets to take a deep breath. He faces the Raiders, 26 in success rate, 26 in EPA per dropback, and Kirk Cousins is one of the most vulnerable QBs in the league to pressure. Well, now he faces this Vegas pass rush that's 29th in pressure rate, and without both Max Crosby and Christian Wilkins, both of their top 2 pass rushers. And the fact that we got
is out too. He's been out.
And Kuntz, a true baller. See, that's a ball no comment right there. Kuntz is a baller as well. So, and the fact that the Raiders lean on man at one of the highest rates in the league defensively, and Cousins is much better against man, and the fact that the Falcons should run all over the Raiders here because they lean on that zone concept at one of the highest rates in the league, and the Raiders are so bad at defending the zone, and the Falcons should have plenty of trips to the red zone here. The old myth is that Cousins sucks in prime time, but if you look at the TD mark, Cousins 7-2 to the over in his last time primetime games, averaging 2.3, and in spots where he wins, 6-0 to the mark, averaging 2.5. So at plus 124, I get to fade Antonio Pierce's bum ass. I get to ride on Kirky boy, bouncing back here. I got to do it.
He says he gets to ride on Kirky boy.
No Diddy.
No
Diddy.
Oh my God, grammar is a thing. We should learn it. So
I mean, I agree with a lot of what he just said. In fact, I don't really understand. So I definitely I don't want to say misread, but I definitely misplayed the whole injury report situation in this one. If you guys watched the video I uploaded last night, I said if Aiden O'Connell doesn't play, I like the Falcons at anything under 7. If Aiden O'Connell is playing, give me the over. At the time, it was at 44, I think, or maybe 43 or 43.5. I don't know, whatever. I said I like the over if O'Connell plays. But Aiden O'Connell is ruled out. I rush to get a Falcons minus 5.5 bet down, and I got it. I'm holding a Falcons minus 5.5 ticket right now. The line's still there. Like, you can still get it hours later. So, like, I guess it was cooked into the line the entire time. I personally don't understand how this isn't 7. Why wouldn't this be 7? The Raiders are so bad. Desmond Ridder's so bad. I don't understand what we're expecting the Raiders to do here. Well, everything Prop Beaver said about the Falcons offense, copy and paste it. Kirk Cousins with a clean pocket against man coverage. The Raiders, you were shitting on the Raiders secondary. I like those corners, man. Jack Jones is cool. Nate Hobbs is cool.
Jack Jones on any given play could either put his heart and soul into it, or he could just like be like, nah, I don't give a fuck. I mean, that's the problem with Jack Jones. So,
well, basically, I wouldn't necessarily just shit on the Raiders secondary like that, but I do agree. We're talking about Kirk Cousins with time to this was already a bad pass rush this year. One of the worst in the league. You take out Crosby, Cousins is going to have all day. Cousins could have a picnic in the pocket, and that's kind of what we know about Cousins at this point in his career. You give him a clean pocket, he could still be a good NFL quarterback. You put pressure on him, he doesn't belong in the starting lineup anywhere. That's just a story with him. So in this matchup, this is a very good matchup for him to play really well. Not to mention, like Prop Beaver says, I think the Falcons can run the ball in this game. The Falcons' run game hasn't really been very reliable at all. They run more zone blocking. They run more zone runs than any other team in the NFL. Raiders are ass against the zone run. So, yeah, I'm with all that. But on the other side of the ball, with Prop Beaver was more talking about the Falcons' offense, what the fuck are we expecting the Raiders to do offensively here? Raiders, terrible. Yeah, with that kid, Sincere McCormick is cool. They like him, and now that the Raiders' offensive line is healthier now than it has been for pretty much this whole season, I'm on board with. I think the Raiders do have maybe a little bit of a run game right now that they didn't have this whole year. But even the Falcons have been playing decent defense against the run. So were you expecting the Raiders to what is McCormick going to have a 250-yard night to keep up with them? I mean, maybe the Raiders can run the ball a little bit, but I mean, I don't understand how this number isn't 7. And usually, look, I'm not the type of person that's like, the market's wrong, I'm right. Like, maybe there's something I'm missing. Maybe there's sharp angles for the Raiders that I'm not seeing. But yeah, if it's under 7, it's Falcons for me. I got the Falcons at 5.5 personally.
I think the angle you're potentially missing is Ridder revenge game. Is that what you're missing?
Tons of revenge in his heart for sure against the coaching staff that didn't.
No, I mean, I'm on the same side as you. I mean, you're asking what the missing angle is. I'm just telling you.
No, I'm with you. I think this is one of the harder handicaps all year because if you use the transitive property, I always like to look at strength of schedule at this point of season and kind of see if there's anything that kind of seems off. This is number 1 and number 2 in terms of strength of schedule that they've faced. The Raiders have the hardest strength of schedule. Falcons are number 2. And you go through some of the Atlanta pieces, like they've had a ridiculous out of conference schedule. Obviously their conference is not good in the NFC South here, but at Minnesota, home versus the Chargers, at Denver, home against Dallas, home against Seattle, home against Kansas City, at Philly, home against Pittsburgh. I mean, you look at that in hindsight now, and it's a ridiculous strength of schedule. So either, Atlanta is better than what the market is saying here, or it's kind of efficient. And I'm kind of leaning towards it being somewhat efficient. I mean, Aiden O'Connell, we did see him at least be able to target Brock Bowers against Kansas City. That's the most important thing that he's done all season long in any of his starts. But overall, we know who Aiden O'Connell is at this point, too. I mean, he's just not a very good quarterback. So is Desmond Ridder a huge downgrade relative to him? I would kind of argue it's pretty flat. I mean, I get it. I get it. But Desmond Ridder's had a lot more experience. I mean, I know it was bad experience there in Atlanta, handing the ball off in the Arthur Smith offense, but I run through this game so many different ways. I can't find anything other than potentially like over 27.5 rushing yards for Tyler Algier, because there's many game scripts where he's going to see 7-8 carries. 5. He averages 5 yards per carry on the season. And I think that there's lots of ways where he just either gets garbage work or he gets mixed in, or, I mean, Bijan Robinson has been dynamic. We know the mistakes that were made over Arthur Smith's tenure there. Should have gotten the ball in his hands a little bit more at times, but there's no doubt that Tyler Algier on the ground could just get things done. And against this piss-poor Raiders team, I do think that if they do rely on the ground, which I think you should, based on what we've seen from Kirk Cousins the last few weeks, Tyler Algier makes the most sense. But outside of that, I can't find anything that I really like in this game. Haven't bet this one yet. Probably, I'll think about it here as we're going forward. But I think it's a really tough handicap, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm on the Falcons, so I do have a bet in the game. I do see a Sincere McCormick under rushing yards. Is that yours, Prop Beaver?
At 57.5, it was where it was sitting at. I'm not sure what to make of them saying that, hey, Alexander Madison's back. Amir Abdullah performed well, but we're going to just give Sincere McCormick all the work now. I don't, like, it doesn't add up. Like, Alexander Madison has been out since week 11. I think McCormick's workload goes down to some extent here, and it's also a game, obviously, they're expected to be trailing a majority of, so I think it's at least interesting, but that one I didn't bet either. And what was that?
I could co-sign that because I was looking at the Falcons' run defense, and the Falcons kind of are branded as this awful defense. But if you look specifically at just their numbers against the run, they're really not that bad, and they seem to be improving as the year progresses. The last 4 games, they're allowing like 95 rushing yards per game. Like the numbers don't look bad at all. And I like what you just said. I didn't even think about that. Like McCormick at 57.5, even though Madison's back. Obviously, they're going to give Madison some touches, even if they've decided that Sincere McCormick is RB1, which is starting to look like. They're really going to give Alex Madison no touches. Like, obviously, they're going to mix him in. So I like that. I would co-sign that, honestly.
Okay. I've just been searching for something in this game to give people and to be able to play myself. So I have some kind of a rooting interest in it, but I'm going to be watching my Vikings, that's for sure. And I'm more confident in their offense than I am anything else on this slate. So it just kind of is what it is.
All right, cool. I'm going to do a quick community parlay while I'm setting it up. Lindy, you want to tell everyone where they can find your stuff?
Yeah, head over to OddShopper over on YouTube, oddshopper.com. You guys can check that out. We're doing tons of great stuff right now. And as I was talking about earlier, we're really revamping a lot of the modeling so that we can do some of the math for you that, obviously we can see betting sheets at Action. You can see them over at Art. I really like our layout relative to other spots in the industry for sure. I know Kyle uses that as well, but we've got some really cool stuff coming down the pipeline to help you make more informed bets just based off of the math, based off of the plays specifically, relative to the rest of the market. So hit the like button for Kyle and check out the videos. They always make a great complimentary piece. He goes in depth in ways that, I'm doing on the back end, but between that and the DFS side of things, a little busy to try to keep everything updated every single day, but always appreciate you having me on, my dude. For
sure. Yeah. The baseball season was a lot of fun on Mondays. Lindy and Toast was like a hilarious not rivalry because they're friends, but it was like funny when they were on the opposite sides of each other.
They had sexual tension.
We did. Yeah. He's like, "You're a bitch," and I'm like, "You're a bitch too.
You're a bitch."
Oh yeah.
Actually,
I love my dick taste.
My lord.
The first two legs are Heat and Hornets, by the way.
Butter my bread, toasty toast.
I was there for that, and it was intense.
I basically stole the bit from you. So
Yeah, and it was intense.
Nuggets money line. We got Clippers money line. We got first game they like the Vikings, and the second game they like the Falcons. So first and second place for the first poll was Heat and Hornets. First and second place of this poll will complete the community parlay.
Oh, I didn't get a song today. I'm sad.
Yeah, no touchdown scores today.
You can't force a touchdown score when there's not one.
I don't know if we're supposed to announce this yet, but he's got a kicker prop song coming.
I do. Yeah. Honestly, you know it's effed up. When we were supposed to do live yesterday, but Optimum did their freaking terrorist attack. Jabbo gave out. Well, he was supposed to give out Pat Fryermuth anytime TD. I loved that play despite the Steelers team total under, and it freaking hit. It was the only Steelers touchdown. God damn it, man.
It's like when I took my mom to the DraftKings Sportsbook at Scottsdale, and she hit Dallas Goedert anytime touchdown with Tampa Bay alt spread for like plus 1,200. And
that must have been electric.
Now she is obsessed with gambling, so it's all my fault. I have no inheritance. It's great.
All right, so here's the community parlay, and let's get I'm gonna get the odds real quick, and then we'll call it. So Vikings money line. Let's head over to NBA. We got Heat, we got Hornets, and we got Nuggets. That comes out to plus 831. The community's feeling aggressive.
Ooh.
All right. Ooh. So the community parlay: Heat money line, Hornets money line, Vikings money line, Nuggets money line, plus 831. Thanks everyone for watching. Lindy, thanks for joining. Everyone bet responsibly tonight.